I found the most amazing Rushton bunny at the flea recently. And in some ways he's like untouched, totally perfect. Like his paint is perfect. He has all his original accessories, and in other ways, not so much. He honestly looks like he's been sitting on a shelf or something, or maybe like in a box for his entire life, because he has no playwear but does have whatever this stain is on his foot. Looks like another garage storage type stain situation. But I love that he still has his little accessories like this Easter egg and his little circus ruffle accessories. But in addition to the stain, his fur is super dirty. I'm honestly expecting this to be a pretty big challenge. Just the stain on the felt is kind of daunting. The felt is a bit difficult to work with, and I'm a really big advocate for keeping everything original that is existing rather than replacement. And the printed cotton on these is typically not pre-washed, so I'm expecting a bit of color loss when I work on that piece. So let's see how this goes. So even with all my experience with cleaning these guys, I'm going to do a test piece to see if this stain even comes out. I can't identify what this stain is, so I'm just going to use caution, and because this little accessory piece comes off really easily, I'm going to start with that. So here we go. Immediately it's starting to loosen up, which is really, really great. So after a few rounds of shaking out the more loose dirt, I'm going to let it soak and see if this deeper stain comes out. And it loosened up a lot, so I felt safe putting the other accessory pieces in the bath together. You can still see a shadow of that really dirty stained one, but overall I'm really pleased with this. So while that's soaking, I'm going to move on to another piece. This colorful felt bleeds really easily onto closed fabrics, so that needs to be washed separately. I get asked the question all the time on almost all of my restoration videos of why I save the original stuffing on these. So it seemed like a good opportunity to show you guys that even on a piece that is heavily stained like this one, this stuffing is very dense recycled cotton, and the stain does not penetrate more than like the top millimeter of stuffing. Like, see here, it's literally just the tiniest like brushing over the top layer. And if you really feel that crazy about it, like by all means, clean it. This is cleanable, but never will I ever throw this stuff away. That is honestly like sacrilegious to me. Absolutely not. I've made a whole video talking about why I save the original stuffing. If you're curious, please go watch it. But basically this is a part of the toy just as much as any other part of it. It deserves to be saved. And as a person who really values the ethics of vintage, I will never feel comfortable throwing quality vintage materials in the garbage. All right, that's my soapbox. Now I'm just washing the felt. As you can see, it's bleeding quite a bit, and the stain's a little bit more stuck in there than on the little ruffle piece. So I'm going to just keep shaking that out. And again, once the more loose surface level dirt is gone, I'm going to leave this piece in there to soak. And now it's time for the body part of this whole cleaning. I have to take out the wires that are in the ears so they don't get rusty from contact with the water. And again, just another example of how this thing was just not played with. Usually the wires are really crunched up and falling apart, but these are in absolutely perfect shape. Barely even a curve on these. And the biggest concern with the body is, again, the stain on this lower part of his leg. So I now have 3 baths going for each of these pieces. And first dunk, so dirty. So dirty. Repeating the same process of shaking out the surface level dirt, and once that is all loosened up, I'm leaving it to soak. Very pleased to see that the stains are lifting. I'm having to do all of this in icy cold water just to make sure that the colors don't run or fade too much in the bath. So that makes the stain removal process a bit slower, but we're doing it. It's happening. And once I'm satisfied with how much the stain is lifted, I hang him up to dry. And then it's time to put him back together, which means sewing on his feet, rewiring his ears, and putting his stuffing back in. And I was really trying to avoid this, but I decided to clean the Easter egg, because once I saw it next to all the clean pieces, it looked super dirty. So I peeled this apart super carefully, and now I'm cleaning it. And oh my God, here he is, all done. This was super time consuming and very, very involved restoration, but I think it was so worth it. I'm really, really pleased with how he turned out. I didn't touch the face paint at all because it's 1000% perfect. I'm really pleased with how the egg turned out. His fur got so white, I can't even believe it. There's the tiniest bit of color fading, which I totally anticipated. I kind of had to find a balance between like stain removal and preservation of the color integrity on the piece, so you can still see the slightest bit of the stain, but honestly, like, I'm fine with that. All things considered, it's about finding a balance between the cleaning and protecting the integrity of the piece. I was trying to figure out why I was so drawn to this piece initially, and I think I figured it out once I set him on my couch. He's a totally perfect match for these hand quilted pillows that I made. I love it, so cute.